Okay, we are recording.
Sandy Oaks Animal Control Advisory Committee meeting on September 14th, 2020, and it is currently, we are starting at 6:43. Notice is hereby given that a meeting of the Sandy Oaks Animal Control Advisory will be held on Monday, September 14th at 6:43 by telephonic video conferencing for the purpose of considering the following agenda items. All agenda items are subject to action. In an effort to advance the public health goal of limiting face-to-face meetings, and to slow the spread of the coronavirus, there will be no in-person access, public access to the meeting. And I'm assuming we all have the Zoom information. Okay, number one, call to order. I call this meeting to order, and I'm going to run down a quorum call just so we know who's here. Mayor Ball. She's
I'm here.
Chris Maldonado.
Here.
Charles Fillinger.
Here.
Julie Ramirez.
Here.
Janet Vanderveer.
Here.
Lori Cherry.
She's not out here yet.
Okay, I'll come back to her. Michelle Hessler.
Here.
Okay. Stephen Groover is absent for this meeting. And for our volunteers who are online, we have Shannon. What happened to Shannon? She was on here. Did she disappear?
I don't think she was on.
I'm here. Let's tell Lori.
Oh, that's Lori. Lori Cherry.
Yes, Lori Cherry.
Okay. Lori's here. All right, no Shannon? I thought Shannon was on. All right. And I'm CJ Walker. Okay. So number two, citizens to be heard. I have not gotten any individuals wishing to voice their opinion one way or another. Mickey, do you know if there were any?
To my knowledge, there were none, and they were instructed to email you, so you would have gotten them.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Okay. So we can skip that. 3, discuss and/or possible action on adopting Robert's Rules of Orders as the parliamentary procedure utilized by the Animal Control Advisory Committee meetings. And I'm going to turn this over to Alderman Fillinger. He did send a few documents which he'll reference, and you should have all gotten a copy of them. Plus, I think Mickey will put them up as we go over them. So Charles, you want to take over for number 3?
Not really, but let me give it a shot.
Okay.
Robert's Rules of Order are commonly adopted as how formal legislative meetings are ran. On small committees, Robert's Rules of Order actually are very complicated. The document that's on the screen now, I sent to CJ. I think she forwarded it to all the committee. These are recommendations from the Texas Municipal League for small and informal meetings. It's short notice for everybody to have read through them, but this is my recommendation of how we should have committee meetings. So I'm gonna leave it there and entertain comments, questions, or anything else.
Okay, folks. Do you have do you have things you want to add? Comments?
So, Charles, is this the right visual that you wanted up for this portion, or was it the other
No,
one?
this is it.
Okay. So could you explain what ex officio members are?
Okay. Yes. The committee, according to the ordinance, is no more than 2 city councilmen and a group of volunteers that have been authorized by city council. The ordinance does not specifically mention the mayor as being a part of the committee, but it's fairly common in small cities that the mayor and any city staff that are involved with the committee to be ex officio committee members. Okay, is that all right?
Hang on. Yes. And so, and I attend these meetings for a number of reasons. One is I help to bring the committee forward, number one. Number two, I want to know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And number three, just to be here in an advisory capacity. So I'm not a voting member by any stretch, but certainly here to help the committee members themselves with any questions that they may have. So that's kind of how I envision my role.
And that's exactly what an ex officio member of a committee is there for, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so let me move this down a little bit and then we'll look at motions. And so Michelle is on voice only. So do you mind, can I read this just so she has an idea of what we're looking at?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it says here on motions that a motion is simply a vehicle for initiating action on a proposal. Some types of motions can be brought up and voted on at any time, while others are out of order at certain times. Certain motions outrank others. Some motions require second, others do not. Knowing the difference between the various types of motions and when to use them is a first step in taking an active part in passing or defeating measures before the committee. A main motion is used to initiate the consideration of a new item of business. After being seconded, a main motion is subject to being debated, amended, tabled, or withdrawn before a final vote is taken. We do that backwards.
Yes, ma'am.
At city council meetings.
Yes, ma'am.
We discuss ahead of time, but anyway, okay. Any committee member making a main motion may, prior to receiving a second, withdraw or change it. If the motion has been seconded, approval of the person who seconded it is required in order for the maker of the motion to change or withdraw it, unless another committee member objects, in which case the change or withdrawal must be voted upon. A new main motion cannot be brought up for consideration while another main motion is being debated. Each main motion must be disposed of before another is made. A secondary motion is used to propose an action on a main motion being debated by the committee. Examples of secondary motions include the following. Number one, motion to table the main motion, that is, lay it aside and go to the next item on the agenda. As an example, I move to table the motion. This is commonly misused. A main motion that has been laid on the table may be taken up again by adoption of a motion to resume consideration. A motion can be taken from the table at the same session or meeting or at the next session. Otherwise, the motion dies. Discussion stops and the chairperson takes a vote. Number 2, motion to request that discussion cease and that the main motion be voted upon. That is moving the previous question. I move the previous question is what you would say. Discussion stops and the chairperson calls for a vote. A majority vote to approve the subsidiary motion then requires the main motion to be called for a vote. So what I think I hear there is you can vote on the sub first, but immediately requires that the main be voted on. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. If I can interrupt there just for a minute. Listening to the recordings of previous committee meetings, I note that there's a lot of discussion over and over and over again, and things are kind of handled on a consent basis rather than actually stopping to take a vote. The only records we have of the Animal Control Advisory Committee meetings are the audio, and it really gets confusing trying to follow people talking over one another and who's saying what, because we tend not to identify ourselves. And actually, when somebody, wishes to speak in a committee meeting, they should wait to be recognized by the chairperson so that the chairperson can announce who's speaking and then everybody is aware of it. To move the previous question just means somebody thinks it's been discussed long enough and should go to a vote. That's the explanation, ma'am.
Okay, that makes sense. And I've been trying to make sure that the chair recognizes whoever wants to speak at our city council meetings, because I do recognize that it can be confusing for people who are maybe tuning in for the first time, not understanding who's speaking. So
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
okay. All right, so item 3, motion to limit discussion to a fixed amount of time. And the motion would be, I move we limit discussion of this item to blank minutes. The discussion stops and the chairperson calls for a vote. And I see where that could be very handy.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 4, motion to postpone action on a proposal until some definite time in the future. As an example, you would say, I move we postpone action on this item until a blank. Common postponements until the next regular meeting, some other set time in the meeting, or some other set time in the future. The most common reason for this motion is a committee member feels the need for more information than is available. So discussion stops and the chairperson calls for a vote. If approved, the chairperson adds to what?
Uh-oh.
We're missing something.
Yeah.
Probably future agenda.
Yeah, the chair has to put it on the future agenda at the time that was approved.
Okay, got it. Okay, and number 5 is a motion to amend the main motion. This motion to amend is perhaps the single most used of the subsidiary motions allowed. You use this motion when you want to change the wording of the motion under consideration. You can use it to make a good idea better or a bad idea more palatable. Amendments are really at the heart of the process of perfecting motions before final vote, and the importance of understanding the basics of amending cannot be overstated. If an amendment is adopted, the motion it is applied to changes. However, the amended motion itself is not adopted until the motion is amended, is voted on and passed. If the motion to amend fails, the original motion is not changed in any way. we encounter this quite a bit at city council. And the intent is you want to make sure that and I'm sorry, Charles, I shouldn't be chiming in on yours, but you want to make sure
Well,
that
no,
your motion is clear and precise and palatable sometimes is a good word. But sometimes there are some specifics as to, you know, you're making a motion for a particular action, but failed to identify who has responsibility for seeing that through, or identifying a specific cost associated with that action or a time frame. So you can amend the original motion so that it's more clear as to what the intent was and what was voted on. Is that correct, Charles?
that is correct, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. In making a motion to amend, be aware of its key characteristics. The motion cannot interrupt a speaker who has the floor. It must be seconded and is debatable if the motion to which it is applied is debatable. Permissible debate is restricted to the pros and cons of the amendment and not to whether the main motion has merit. And Charles, I don't know how deep you want to go into this, because I see there's 5 pages here.
Yes, ma'am. You know, like I say, I apologize for getting it out so late, but I wasn't aware that we were having this meeting until last Thursday evening. So took a little while to put it together.
Okay. So I think having it handy and have people that are here on the call and on the committee understand how it works. And I would tend to agree, our committee meetings, the park committee, this meeting, you know, we've been a little loosey-goosey, not nearly as formal as we are with our city council meetings. But I think this is a good guideline here to make sure that we stay on task.
Okay, ma'am. With that, and you're correct. There's 5 pages of information there, and it's going to take, you know, more time than we have to discuss this evening. With that, I would like to make a motion that we postpone adopting rules of order until our next scheduled meeting.
And CJ, you're up.
I'm not a voting member, so I don't think I can second that.
No, that's not you're the chair.
Okay, does anyone want to second that motion to postpone discussion on this until our next regular meeting so everybody has a chance to review?
Janet Vandiver, I second.
Okay, so Charles and Janet. Okay, so we will hold off on this discussion
No,
until.
you're not done. You got to take a vote.
Oh, geez.
You have a motion requires a vote, ma'am.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Charles Fillinger and a second from Janet Vanderveer. All those in favor, raise your hand and say yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
And you do have to ask if there are any opposed.
Are there any opposed? I'll take that as a no.
This is.
And then announce the result.
Okay, so we are going to table the discussion on the suggested rules and procedures for the meeting, for the ACAC meeting,
And
until our next regular scheduled meeting.
yeah, so you could have just said, yeah, that motion passes, or it was unanimous, or
Yeah, and just for everybody on the call, this is exactly why I
ask Charles.
asked last meeting, that last ACAC meeting, that we add Charles to the to the attendees, because we do need to be more formal. And this isn't something that I normally do, a role that I normally take on, whereas Charles is quite familiar with it and can pull me in line and pull everybody else in line too.
Yeah, he'll throw out a term
Well,
every now and then, like, point of order or something, and you're like, what?
That's okay. That's what we need. All right. So on the agenda, okay, so we're going to table item 3.
I'm gonna try to get back to this. There we go.
And number 4 is discuss and/or possible action establishing procedures related to committee agendas, meetings, and minutes. And I will recognize Mr. Fillinger again. This is a shorter one.
Yes, thank goodness it's a little bit shorter. These recommendations are based upon the TML's recommendations for small committee meetings and their agendas. I also reflect our city ordinance as to how the city council agendas are originated and what sponsorship of items, who can add items to the agenda, and who's responsible for making the agenda. I don't really I don't, again, if Mickey wants to read the item, I'm
I can do that.
okay with that. It's a couple of pages.
Yeah, but I think
But the
it's
main
kind of
points are,
important.
Right.
okay, I just going to say the main points are what's included in the item, who can post things to the agenda, and who's responsible and who's sponsoring each agenda item. So with that, I'm gonna leave it to you, Mickey.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The agenda. A well-organized agenda is an indispensable part of every orderly committee meeting. The agenda establishes a calendar of activities for the committee to follow during its meeting. It lists all of the items of business that will be considered. By putting committee members on notice as to what will be discussed, each of them is enabled to arrive at the meeting prepared and ready to conduct business. For section 1, the following illustrates a typical agenda format. Number 1, a call to order. The presiding officer calls the meeting to order and determines whether a quorum is present. Number 2 is Pledge of Allegiance, required for in-person meetings, waived for video conferencing. Number 3, approve minutes of the previous meeting. Unless a majority of the committee desires that the minutes of the previous meeting, committee meeting be read, the minutes can be approved as submitted or corrected. I'd like to make just a note here on this. We have not been doing minutes for these meetings, so we'll leave that as a discussion point later on. Citizens to be heard. Scheduling this agenda item early in the meeting permits citizens to complete their business with the committee in a timely manner and then leave if they wish. And apparently there's some items missing because it went 1, 2, 3, 6, and now we're on 8. Old business, final passage of business pending from the previous committee meeting, such as a motion to table at the prior meeting. The committee member originally making the motion may move to reconsider the motion, in which case they would say, I move to reconsider the motion, whatever. The chairperson calls for a vote. If affirmed, the debate continues until the chair calls for a vote. A tabled motion cannot be tabled again, but it may be postponed to a definite time. A motion postponed at a prior meeting. So a motion is taken up for debate without reconsideration until the chair calls for a vote. Number 9, new business. New agenda items. Each item to be considered must be specifically described in the agenda. It is not sufficient just to put the words new business or old business on the agenda and then allow the consideration at the committee meeting of any and all items that might be brought up. This is really important, and we'll let Charles talk about that a little bit later. Staff reports. This agenda item includes reports from the mayor and/or city animal control officer on the status of various projects, problems that are developing in particular neighborhoods, and so on. And our favorite, adjournment. If there is no further business, the chair can adjourn the meeting. If all items listed in the agenda have not been considered and disposed of, a majority vote usually is required to adjourn. So section 2 deals with placement of items on the agenda. The following persons may place items on the Animal Control Advisory Committee agenda. Number 1, the chairperson of the committee. Number 2, any 2 or more members of the committee. And number 3, ex officio members of the committee, such as the mayor, municipal animal control officer. And then section 3 is the sponsor designation. So agenda items shall include the names of the sponsoring persons. So you'll see that a lot on the agendas. It'll be the item to be discussed, and in parentheses, it'll, in the case of city council, and in the case of the animal control, the chairperson could be the sole sponsor. But if it's other members, those names would be noted next to that item. Section 4, responsibility for compiling and posting the agenda. The committee chairperson is responsible for compiling and posting the agenda. The chairperson shall establish reasonable and accessible procedures for accomplishing this task and may delegate this task to another committee member. And it's kind of important there to make sure that your committee members are aware. It's always good to remind or send a meeting reminder or something that, hey, if you want to put something on the agenda, I need those items by, and you need to give them a deadline. And that's it. So I'll turn it back over to Charles.
Okay, it's, fairly self-explanatory. And the reason for the missing numbers there is this committee doesn't have a consent agenda or similar items. So I didn't think we needed to include that. I would like to separate this particular agenda item into let's discuss the agenda, meetings and minutes as 3 different sub items in this. I would entertain questions from committee members at this time about any questions on the agenda. Okay, with no question, ma'am. If there are no questions, please go ahead, whoever's there.
No hands are up. You're good.
Okay, if there are no questions, I would like to move that we adopt this recommendation as our agenda procedure.
So,
and that leaves it back to you. Excuse me, go ahead.
well, I did have a question about that because,
Yes,
I'm learning. I learn a lot from you on this. So this would be the main motion, is that correct? And we could have a sub motion related to, let's say, minutes. That could be a sub motion, is that correct?
Well, Yes, ma'am, but prior to any amendments, the main motion has to be seconded,
Okay,
and that's on CJ's forte.
got it.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to accept the agenda procedure portion of this, and from Charles Fillinger, and we need a second.
And that could be me, correct? I mean, I'm ex officio, so I should be able to participate, correct?
Charles?
I would actually, ma'am, prefer that one of the committee members would second it, and if we have no second, the motion falls to the side.
Okay, and I brought that up specifically for that answer, so thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll second.
And who was that?
Michelle.
Michelle? Okay. So we have a first from Charles Fillinger put a motion out to accept the agenda procedure portion, and Michelle Hessler has seconded it. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand if possible.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Who is the nay? I can't
Janet.
see. Janet. Okay. Okay, so we have 3 in favor
No.
and 1 opposed. So that passes.
That's what I said. That's why I said nay, because I don't know.
And the second, Charles, you had another meetings, discussion on meetings?
Actually, I did not have a discussion on meetings. I do have a discussion about minutes.
All right.
Because this committee has no legislative function, we're purely an advisory committee. Minutes are not required by the state. And unless we have a shorthand expert, it's quite a lengthy process to try to transcribe the audio from this. So I'm really not leaning heavily in favor of formal minutes of the meetings, unless somebody else feels strongly that they should be formal meeting or minutes from the meetings. So that's my take on committee meeting minutes, and
Okay.
I'm done.
Any discussion on that?
I'm going to tend to agree with Charles on this. It would have to be somebody from the committee that would take on that responsibility. And for city council meetings, Catherine she prepares a different agenda where it has the agenda item and then several blank lines so that you can make notes during that. But for our minutes that are produced for the city council, she literally has to go back and listen to the minutes or listen to the meeting,
Right.
and glean from that the key points that need to go in the minutes. Never has to be verbatim. It's not expected to be verbatim. It is just technically, and Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, but technically it is all of the discussion that goes on does not even have to be included in the minutes. It's just what was the result of the vote? Who made the motion? What was the vote? And what was the outcome? That's the very basic that needs to be included in the minutes.
That is correct, ma'am.
This is Janet. May I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Will the audio still be available to the citizens of Sandy Oak?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, whether we're doing it by Zoom, which to be quite honest, I'm kind of digging Zoom. It's what I was doing previously was taking the recorder, when everybody came together, taking the recorder, and then I'd have to convert that from an MP3 into an MP4 and then upload it into, that took time, and then upload it to YouTube, and that took time, and then provide a link to Catherine for her to post on the website. Using Zoom, we get really good audio quality, and it converts to an MP4 with, in under 10 minutes. And then I just give her the link and she provides the link. So it's a very easy, clean way to do this. And I think personally, I drive to work, so I can listen to something as I'm driving to work. We keep the meeting short. Maybe people would be more inclined to listen as opposed to attend. I know not everybody likes to attend the meetings, and then, we don't have the minutes anyway. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Any other comments, discussion?
I believe Janet Vandiver, Vandiver, excuse me.
Say it again.
Van Derver.
Van
You-
Derver.
Thank-
You missed an R in there. That's okay.
Ah,
Is it Van Derver or Van Der Veer?
Van Derver.
Van Der Ver. Okay, I've been calling you something else. I
Yeah,
Me too.
apologize.
I'm sure.
Okay, I think you had a comment, ma'am?
I just wanted to verify if there wasn't going to be written minutes, that the audio would still be available to the citizens in the event they wanted to listen to the meeting.
right.
That was
Yes,
my
ma'am.
only question.
Actually, there's no requirement that we have the audio, but in the interest of transparency for interested parties,
Exactly.
the city has chosen to post the audio, ma'am.
Thank you. I think that's appropriate as well.
Since we are not making any changes, do we need to take a vote? Charles? Do we need a motion on this?
Well, I think we
Uh,
are making changes.
Well, if nobody objects, I will go ahead and make a motion that this committee does not commit to formal written minutes, and instead we post the audio to YouTube.
And
Okay,
so here's a good example of amending a motion. Only to YouTube, or would you like it on the city website?
Thank you very much. I would like to restate my motion since there's no second. I would like to make a motion that we dispense with formal written minutes in this committee, but we do post the audio to YouTube and the city website.
okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Fillinger for posting, taking no formal written minutes, however, posting the audio to YouTube and the city website. Do we have a second?
This is Janet. I second.
We have a second for that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Julie has her hand up.
Nope.
Oh, that was for an I. Okay, so that passes. Is there any other tasks we need to attend to on this, Charles?
Unless somebody wants to comment on the second item of meetings, I'm done with this item.
Is there any additional discussion on this? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Until the next time it's brought up. All right, then. We'll move along to item 5. Item 5, update on animals currently at Oak Hills, Foster's, or other locations that are scheduled for or need placement. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Maldonado. Chris? Are you still there?
He's sleeping.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Now I
we
can.
hear you.
Okay. Good evening. All right. So now that everybody can hear me, Janet, I meant to ask you if you still were with Cruella.
Who, me? Yes. Yes, I still have her.
Okay, so that is correct. All right, so we currently have 5 animals at Oak Hills and 1 in foster care, which is with Janet Cruella.
Can I interrupt you there for one quick second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Corella, remember, was signed over to Brandy Barnett in Floresville, so she's no longer a City of Sandy Oaks dog.
Okay.
I'm fostering her now. Now I'm fostering her for Brandy.
Okay. I mean, I just have her on here annotated as, at your house, which doesn't really specify if she's
Yeah, I think you signed her over to Brandy, so she's no longer a burden to the city.
okay. Yeah, I remember her taking her off and then putting her back on. But I can always just put her under what is it?
Brandy Barnett.
Brandy? Okay. Well, then that leaves us with the 5 at Oak Hills.
All right, and what's the story on the 5? Do we need rescues?
Yeah, for Harry currently, I'm still trying to get in contact with the K9, full armor K9. They've helped us out with other German Shepherds before, and I'm sure they would help us out with these. Now, he also did suggest if we had any other dogs that we couldn't get rid of, that he has other friends he can contact for me. I've tried getting in contact with. I don't know if everybody got that text message, but Janet had sent a couple of suggestions.
Yes.
I went and looked onto those websites. I sent them an email. None of them have gotten back to me. I don't know if they're overbooked or if they just don't really check their emails. But I did try to make contact at least. Maybe they're a little bit behind, so we're still waiting on an answer from them. 2 of those dogs have owners. I spoke to somebody today, a female. She said that one of the dogs we picked up the other day is hers, and that I still want to talk to her before I give her back because that dog was in horrible condition when I picked her up. I'm not too sure if I will give her back, and we'll just see where it goes from there when I make contact with that lady. And the other one, he's a male. He did have a tag on him. He did have a tag, but when I tried to call in that number or the vet, they gave me a lady's name and number, but she was no longer the owner. And she tried to describe me who the owner was, but I had no luck finding her. And that's where we're at with that. But hopefully she does make contact with me or post something about him, because he did look like he was getting taken care of. He just was out there for a while, so we're still waiting on those. And then the other 2.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. The other two are the puppies, Flex and Lily. They're the little retriever Labrador pit bull mixes. Hopefully, I can get a rescuer that only takes in puppies. Because they're pretty cute and they're playful and stuff. So they're not bad dogs. So that's where we're at right now with all these animals.
So Chris, I do have a question for you. Someone had reached out to me a few weeks ago about a transport rescue. And I think I sent you their contact info. Were you ever able to make connection with them?
You sent that to me. What was her name?
Oh, you would ask me that.
Well, I don't think I ever received anything.
Okay, well, there you go. That's why I'm bringing it up, because I thought I had passed it on, but maybe I didn't.
No, I never.
Hold on, and I will. You continue, and I'll look it up.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions besides that? If not, I have a little fact here that I brought up. But
I do, only in regards to the fact that our Flix and Lily, the other two dogs. Oh no, those are the puppies.
Those are the puppies.
Okay, so the other two dogs that might have owners, they're not showing up under lost and found on the website.
I know, like, for some reason that whole system, I don't know what's wrong with it. There was an animal that was a DOA and it showed up on there, which is not supposed to. I didn't even put it as a lost and found animal, and it showed up. I don't know how that happened. Sometimes that thing doesn't work. Sometimes it does. It's just give and go. So I've tried.
So we need to figure out. Yeah, is there anybody we can call about how to get that fixed?
There is, but they'll just tell you the same thing. They tell you go to the management portion of it and then follow the video instructions, and which we've done multiple times, and we finally got it to work, but not the way we wanted to fully. So that's where we're at with that. There's no other way.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of people go to the lost and found website when they're looking for their dog, and there's nothing there.
Yeah. I know Layla's on there. The one we picked up the other day, and that's the actual owner that contacted me for her today.
I'm looking at the website right now. The lost and found is showing no records.
Right, that's what I see. No records.
Okay, she was on there today. So.
Is she the one that's in horrible condition? Or is she the other one?
Yes, she would be the one. She had mange around her eye. She had ticks, fleas. She was very malnourished, skin and bones, and she would gobble up anything we gave her. So she was pretty bad. There was other dogs with her in a group, and all those dogs belonged to the same lady. The only reason we picked up her was because the way of the condition of her. The other dogs looked like they were okay. I don't know why, if she just mistreated her, or singled her out. I don't know. But yeah, I can see where it says no records. She was on there today, earlier today.
Yeah, if there's any way you can, oh geez, send them in like the text messages so that we can put them up on like Nextdoor and Facebook and stuff to try and find owners. I know that's a pain in the neck, but if it's not going to be accurate here.
I have his name and number for Layla, and then
I'm just talking in general. in general, animals.
Well, the other animals are on the adoption site. So if you click on the adoption portion of it, it'll take you to the animals. So they're no longer lost and found because no one's came forth in quite some time. So that's why they're put up for adoption now.
Yeah, I'm talking more for the future.
Can I ask a question? This is Janet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Janet.
Did Cole get adopted?
Yes, Cole got adopted, and I have to schedule a date and time to go out and do a site visit at the home. I did let the lady know beforehand, before she adopted him, that I would do a site visit, and she said she was okay with that. So
Awesome. So you just have Harry and the 2 puppies. Well, plus on the adoption part of it.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I'd like to go back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago about utilizing Pet Point and the adoption and the lost and found.
Yes.
And I think it's really important that that be our sole source, if you will, for identifying lost and found and those available for adoption, as opposed to sending out text messages and people just posting them. I think it's important that everyone.
I totally agree. The issue is that it's not working correctly right now.
Well,
I was only talking about in the interim until we can get it working consistently.
yeah, only the lost and found isn't working properly. I don't
Right.
know, but it's not.
So Chris, I know you're really busy. Could you get with Clay and see what it is that's causing that?
It is rather important for the citizens to be able to know when they're looking for their dog, to be able to go to the city website and see.
Yeah, I agree. And we just want to make sure that is the official vehicle.
Right. I agree with that. If we can't get it fixed, what I was suggesting was a go around because it wasn't working. Chris, what else? So as far as animals that need actual placement still, you said you might have found a place for the puppies?
No. I'm trying to locate somewhere that would
You're
intake.
trying to locate some place for the puppies. Okay. But
Intake.
Harry, you found one for.
And Chris,
And then
I
the
sent
2
you that
owners.
information for the transport. And I think, I don't know that they are exclusive for puppies, but they certainly will take puppies.
To send it.
I think I sent it to your personal
Oh.
cell phone because I had it on my personal cell phone.
I do have appointments on I believe the 22nd for Austin for 3.
Yeah, and I still have that date on there as such, but there's never a guarantee.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just have to keep our options open. And if we last that long till we have those dogs there, then we can try it on the 22nd. And
Yeah.
how many spots is it for the 22nd? 2?
3.
I believe 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any more other needs for item 5? Chris, in regards to animals that need placement or anything?
No.
All right. Then number 6.
Miss CJ,
Yes.
I had my hand up, but I guess you
I'm
didn't.
sorry. I didn't see it.
Just so everybody knows, this is Charles Villinger again. I look around at other cities, and I like the idea of Pet Point, but I noticed our neighbors over at Elmendorf post their lost and found dogs on their Facebook website, and I'm wondering, would it be a huge burden to post pictures on Facebook and next door, because that's where most people seem to communicate their loss of animals.
Correct. And if Chris can get the lost and found page working correctly, In the past, what we've done is a couple of us have gone and copied those photos and put a note on Nextdoor, or we have 2 different animal pages for Sandy Oaks, put them on both of those. Just in case that's somebody's pet.
Yeah, and I do the same thing for the city Facebook page.
Right.
I call it the city Facebook page. It's not the city's page, but that's the reason I wanted to use the Pet Point, because it generates the Pet Tango, which is a recognizable vehicle for identifying lost and found animals, and it links back into our city website. So whenever I'm always kind of watching for the text messages that clue me in that there is an animal that needs to be placed or has been found or whatever, and then try to remind myself to go to the city website to grab that link and share that. But there
Right.
are, as CJ said, there's a couple of other places on Facebook, Sandy Oaks Animal Control or Sandy Oaks Humane Society, and another one, I forget, Lost and Found Pets.
Lost and Found.
Yeah, plus Nextdoor. So yeah, anything that we can do, if we can get the Pet Point piece to work correctly, that's a no-brainer.
The challenge for Charles and anyone else that may not know is we don't normally put that on Chris, as long as he can get them up on the Petango, so that it shows up on the city website. Then others, as volunteers, will put it on the other pages, and that takes that step out of. Chris doesn't need to worry about that step, as long as it's up there on the Lost and Found page.
Okay, I'm more than satisfied. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on that item, folks?
No.
If not, yes.
Okay, so the dogs that are on pet.
If they're on the Lost and Found page, we really need to post them in case, so that the owner knows, owners that are missing dogs
DJ, if
can
I
come
can,
forward and check.
I
So
think,
Yes,
on Pet
Chris.
Point,
I think what she's saying is, sometimes it's messed up. Like I said, there was a animal on there that wasn't supposed to be.
Correct.
Um, she can always ask me, and I can tell her. So if like one day there is a dog on there that doesn't have a name, it just says DOA on there. Um, that should probably already show you that's a red flag. You should.
yeah.
Right.
So if you do have questions, or if you don't know for sure, you can always just text me, and I'll let you know whether that dog is available or not.
Okay.
Okay.
Good question. All right. Number 6, update on TNRs completed and upcoming TNRs. Where do we stand with the TNRs?
There's 3 more at Nick's place, right? Oh no, he caught them. Those are the 3.
So we're done with Nick's place?
Nick caught the last 3. He texted me tonight. I told him to go ahead and keep them in the traps until after this meeting, because we weren't sure if the policy and procedures were changing or what was going on. So he does currently have his last 3 of his colony trapped. I have a list of people begging for services, but I'm waiting for a list from Chris of who's next on his list. So right now, Nick is done if I take his cats tonight, and then we haven't taken cats in what, 2 weeks or more.
Okay. Chris, what about you? What's your feedback?
Yeah, and so I have a list right here created. TNR wasn't as big as it is now because of Janet and how she's helped us so much. So there was never a list, there was never anything like this. So I've started it off with Travis, and then we'll go from there. I did have
All
a
right.
little bit of example here, but when Janet sees it, she'll know. So we can always just start off with Travis first, since he did call and he let me know that he needed the service, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll start adding people to the list if they need it. But like I said, this is more. It's bigger than it is than what it was. So people just have to
Right.
understand that it's going to take some time for us to get to them.
And these are all the feral cat colonies, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
if they contact us on
What's your name?
Nextdoor, I'm Lori. If they contact us on Nextdoor or Facebook, should we give them your number, Chris?
Yes, shoot them my way. Every time anybody needs assistance with animal control, just shoot them my way. I'll assist them the best way I can, and we'll go from there. If they need you for any reason, just shoot them my way.
Okay.
Well, this is Janet, and all the posts that I've seen on Nextdoor that are requesting feral cat TNR services, I have directed them to you, animal control. I've directed them to animal control for the city.
Mhm.
So whether they're contacting you or not, I'm
Some
not sure,
people-
but that's where I'm sending them.
They'd rather deal with somebody that is just another citizen than rather than get the city involved. I don't know why that is, but they'd rather have somebody. So when you tell them, hey, contact the city, they'll help you out. They really don't. They really don't. They just
Well, who do they think is going to pay for it?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know why they just wouldn't call me or get the city involved. I don't know if it's
So in the event they're not contacting you, even per my direction on this, I'm just talking specifically Nextdoor. Should I take their information and pass it on to you since they're not calling you, or what do we do about that?
you could. It's just I don't really have the time to be calling people out. If they really need the service, they should call me.
Right. Now, when you tell them, animal control, contact animal control, do you put in Chris's phone number?
I did on a couple posts, and then it got kind of tedious, so I just said, please contact the city of Sandy Oaks for their TNR program.
Oh, okay. So you're specifying City of Sandy Oaks, because I've seen a lot of posts where people will say call the city, but Elmendorf also has a shelter facility. People don't know that the City of Sandy Oaks is indeed a city, so they're calling Elmendorf. They're calling Bexar County Animal Control. I've had several people contact me and let me know, oh, well, I didn't know we had an animal control department in Sandy Oaks.
Can I make a recommendation then? Because I know, first of all, I want to recognize the work that Janet and whoever else she's working with on this. I know
Lori.
she's involved.
A lot.
But the TNR that you gals are getting done around here, I'm in awe. I do want to recognize that. And the fact that you are finishing up with Nick, that's stellar to me that y'all have gotten that done. So thank you very much for that.
Definitely.
I think what would be helpful is if we could craft a uniform message that could be shared anytime anyone asks. So if Janet or Lori reach out to somebody reaches out to them, or they see somebody on Nextdoor or social media, that they have a standard call. We have a TNR program for feral cats. You need to call this number, or you can send an email. We'll craft it with all the links and the information. And
Can we mention that the city pays for it?
Well, if it's a feral, if it's feral and it's in
Right,
the
there.
city, yes,
We're only doing feral colonies, so
yes. But also to give a very brief explanation about what that entails, because I've had a couple of people who were like, oh, thank God you came and got that cat. No, don't bring it back. And we have to explain to them, yes, it's coming back to you.
Yeah.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
So I can create a banner that has all the information, and it'll be big letters TNR program for City of Sandy Oaks, and then all the contact information underneath it, and then just send that out via email.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. I think that would be helpful. That way,
Yes.
the message is always consistent regardless of who it comes from.
Right. So they can just post it on there or whatever they need to do. And it's on
But
there.
that, I mean, I think that's all, I think that's perfect, Mayor Ball. I think there should be a consistent message as to where we direct these people to. However, Chris has stated that people are hesitant to call the city, so.
I think they don't understand that it will be paid for. And their solution, they want to shoot the cats or poison the cat, and because they don't understand that it'll be paid for.
And I think if Chris crafts the message in such a way that the city, identified, the City of Sandy Oaks Animal Control has a trap, neuter, release program to deal with feral cat colonies. I think that kind of puts that out there that it's the city program.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where I was hoping to go with this is to phrase it in such a way. I think when you tell them just to call City Hall or call Animal Control, they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't work. Again, if you tell them that and you're not telling them exactly the number to call or how to reach, that doesn't help as well. So that's why I'm thinking that if Chris can come up with a standard message, everybody has it, that's what gets shared, and we tweak it as we need it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I've never left a message called a city. I have always said called, Animal Control, the City of Sandy Oaks, or the Animal Control Officer at this number.
Right.
But
I do see people that will post and just say, call Animal Control. Well, they don't even tell them how to do that, so.
Yeah.
Or which animal control. Yeah.
right, and I do specify that there is a TNR program with the City of Sandy Oaks call animal, not every time. So you're absolutely correct. A consistent message would be very helpful. And if they call, they call. If they don't, they don't. But
I like that idea. So Chris, can you have something created and pass it
Not right
on?
now.
Yeah, so I'll make something up. It'll be very, I guess, brief, and then we could just critique it as we go. I'll send it via email first, and then if you have more ideas to put on there, then I'll critique it more.
Yeah, we can critique it and start using it discuss it further at our next meeting. If
I
there's
second
changes.
that, if that's a motion.
That actually wasn't a motion.
Oh,
Who would like to put forward a motion?
Chris?
Not a voting member.
He's not, he's an ex officio, just like I am.
Okay, I would like to put forth the motion of exactly what CJ just said. This is Lori.
I love your creativity, but that's not how it works.
Because I cannot remember everything she said, but it sounded good, and that's what we need to do.
Okay, so I can make a motion, can I? I move that all the ACO officer Chris Maldonado will create a banner discussing our TNR program and how to contact.
Yes, I'll second that. This is Lori.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, so that passes. Not even sure, actually, did we need even a vote on that one, Charles?
Well, as we have agenda items, they need to be discussed, and some consensus of we're done with this item needs to be made. And a vote that we, that our ACO will generate a banner with full information about the TNR program and send it out to all the committee members so that everyone can put forth a uniform message. Pretty well handles what we need to discuss here.
And I
Okay.
would like to add something, because in looking at the item on the agenda, it just says update on TNRs completed and upcoming TNRs.
I was about to say,
Going forward, I recommend that when you put something on there, you might add with possible action. That way, so in this particular case, since this was brought up, that agenda item was strictly for an update. So there really was no need for an action because the agenda item didn't call for an action.
Okay.
Right.
I got that. I was contemplating that also.
Did we get the update? I
well,
missed.
if I could add to the update.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to throw some knowledge y'all's way. So for the fiscal year, last year, or this year currently that we're in, we've had a total of 108 TNRs to date.
Oh, wow.
And then year to date, which is January 1st till today, it's 93. So
Wow.
that's number, I'm sure it's gone up since the last year's numbers. I'm sure it has.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just skeletons, but it's a lot of cats.
It is a lot of cats, and it, you know, it will make a difference. I mean, we're not, when is breeding season? I mean, I know it's annual all the time,
Yeah, it's
but there are peak seasons. When would the next peak be?
They're currently
February.
pregnant now.
yeah, February. Well, they're pregnant now, but the peak would be February through May. They mostly they have the most babies in the spring.
Right. Okay. So with that in mind, any work that can be done leading up to that in preparation of that big event?
That's what we're trying to do. Yes.
Yes, and then just education is the key, making people aware. But you guys have done a fabulous job. That's a
That's
lot
a
of
lot
Yes,
of
it
cats.
is.
healthy sterile cats.
Exactly.
That's great.
Because they all get their rabies and they all get their FRBCP with the spay for the same price, $20.
Very awesome.
I mean, you just can't beat that. You really can't.
No.
No, you can't.
Perfect.
So you don't
All
have any
right.
rabid cats running around the city.
Right? Or I don't like the scroungy cats. At least they're healthy looking.
Yeah.
Well, and I hope that once they are altered, that their demeanor changes just a little bit. You know, they're,
They do
It
because
changes a lot.
I trapped one. Lynette called me. Oh, it's been about a month ago now, I guess. Lynette called me to go to the dollar store because there was a young tomcat in the dumpster, and he was crazy wild. And so I trapped him, and I didn't know where to put him after. I didn't want to return him to the dumpster, so I took him to this other lady's house on Shady Forest, and now he's part of her colony, and he actually lets you pet him now because he's altered.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Big difference.
yeah.
All right.
That's awesome.
And can I interject? This is Janet. I just want to say that Nick, I forgot his last name, but he probably has the healthiest colony that we have dealt with so far.
Yeah, he's taking really good care of those cats.
He's
Nick's a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
All right.
he did say, and I don't know if we can bring this up. Can I bring something up? He stated that there were a few, maybe 5 in his colony that would possibly be okay for placement into a home, that they're since they're spay or neuter, that they are more socialized and friendly. And I told him I would, get with Chris. I didn't know what to do in that instance.
I don't know how you take the feral out of a feral.
Yes.
Yeah, he would have to either do that himself or find somebody to take them. Once we do the feral thing, TNR, that's all we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go beyond
Well, to answer you, Mickey, the younger they are, and we get a lot of kittens, and they spay them as small as 2 pounds. Those cats can be. We return them back to the colonies, but because they're so young, and then they're spayed
Right.
and neutered so young, they do and can get socialized a lot easier than the adult cats, which is near impossible.
Yeah. I just wonder if they would tend to roam.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
cats, you can move 50 miles away and they're going to come back if you don't keep an
Yeah.
eye on them. I just wanted the same with the ferals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would fall on the person in charge of the cat colony to find placement for them, because that's not part of our current services that the city will offer.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so number 7, discuss and/or possible action on a policy for communication between volunteers acting on behalf of city and the ACL. We need to have a formal policy for any communication describing exactly that between volunteers who are acting as a volunteer for the city in any of their interactions with like the TNR clinics. If you pick up or take an animal to Oak Hills instead of Chris doing it, we need clear line of communication for that. And I was thinking the best way of handling it is if there is ever any questions or problems with the two parties, between a volunteer and a rescue organization or a clinic or Oak Hills, etc., that would be one where you would need to contact Chris first and ask for guidance. Open to discussion. The simple reason is because you volunteers are still acting as part of the city, so it all has to be coordinated through someone that is representing the city, somebody
Okay.
that is on the council with the city.
Okay. This is Lori. Is this in reference to our disagreement with Nick at Brooks Spay and Neuter Clinic?
So this is Mickey and I will chime in on this, and the answer is yes. The short answer is yes.
Okay.
And so here's my position on this. We value all of the resources, and we need all of the resources that we have available to us. And it's very important that whatever protocols those resources require or request or prefer, that we honor that. And it might not be a message that somebody wants to hear because they have a situation they're trying to address immediately. But what happened with Nick and Danica, that can't happen. That just absolutely cannot happen. I know that we have some very passionate people involved with this program, and it takes the passion that everyone here has to make these programs work.
Okay.
But we have to be very respectful of the organizations that are willing to work with us. And so when I heard what had happened, that did trouble me quite a bit. And I had Chris go to Nick and Danica and apologize. They shouldn't have to do that.
Okay. I guess I'm not understanding, what did they do? I'm clearly you were told something other than what happened.
What actually happened? Yes.
So what,
Well, no,
what,
I talked to Janet, and Janet explained to me what happened.
We were attacked by Nick verbally and accused of things that we were not doing.
the reason,
And when I tried to contact Nick to clarify their policies and procedures, because we had been told by a different
we were,
tech there,
yes,
something different, than Nick was accusing us of doing something wrong. Nick specifically said, talk to Mayor Ball. I never spoke with Danica.
I've never spoken with Nick, and I've only spoken with Danica once, and that was when we actually went and did a tour of the Brooks facility. So I've not had any input from them on this at all. What concerned me was that it's not the volunteers or the committee members here. It's not your charge to challenge the resources and say, well, explain to me what your policy is. That goes back to Chris. You got a problem with working with any of them, that goes to Chris. You know, getting into a heated discussion at the facility, and then I understand there was some follow-up calls that kind of compounded the whole problem. That's not acceptable. I'm just going to put that out there. That is not acceptable. This is Chris's department, and like I said, we value every resource that is helping us with this issue, but we have to be very respectful and mindful of that. Now, I don't know if Nick was having a bad day. I don't even know who Nick is, but in a situation like that, what would have been best to happen is say, I'm sorry, there must be a misunderstanding. Let me get with Chris.
and that didn't work. I tried that. This is Lori. I tried that. Krista told us, Krista also works there at the local clinic. Krista said as long as I was there by 5:45, that there was no issue.
With over 3 cats.
Right. So we would trap the cats together. Janet would go and spend the night, and then I would meet her there at 5:45 so that we could check the cats in. Well, that morning, this lady was all upset because we had 6 cats and she got cut off. So I think what happened is she started complaining and got Nick all worked up. Well, then Nick comes over to the car, and I mean, he's telling me in my face, you can't cut in line. You can't do that.
After we were told by another tech that it was okay.
Right.
So that's why I was trying to clarify the policies that they had.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I think,
And
I
one
think-
thing I'll say is, you know, I understand this was a weird circumstance, and it sounds like there were multiple people involved. But going forward, we need to have something in place. And this is not just with animal control. I've seen this how I've worked with the American Red Cross, and we have always had to set a procedure and policy that if there is ever any questions or any issues, the volunteers get with whoever they're answering to. And in this case, they're working for the volunteers are part of the city, representing the city. And allow the person in charge to deal with it, because you don't need that plaque. You don't need it. And
I
you know,
don't need,
as volunteers, but you know, so this issue happened and we just need to move forward. But on the other hand, we need to have a clear policy and procedure in place so things like this don't happen again. And that is where I was coming from when I put this item up on the agenda. You know, we need an actual policy for it.
I agree. And I think the other concern is that, and I guess that was Lori talking
Yes.
a few minutes ago, that you ended up having 6 cats. And as I understand it, they only do 10. Right. So we took 60% of the spots. Which,
yeah, but we don't,
you know, if
there every day.
No. But if I am a citizen who's trying to also do my part to take care and help out the problem, And I also show up in the middle of the night and I spend all my time there and then I get cut off. That's not fair. I don't want us monopolizing the resource as well. And as I understand, during that week, I think that was our third trip. So we need to utilize the resources that are available to us, but be mindful that it's for others as well, and maybe not take in more than 4 cats. I mean, I don't know what the policy is or what the count is that they allow you to do.
3 cats per
But,
trapper, 10 cats per day.
Okay, but we are
10
actually
cats per day.
discussing on creating a policy. The action item is creating a
No,
policy for communication between volunteers acting on behalf of the city and the ACO.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm understanding that we are to just submit and show submission and not be respected and respect them, because we were assaulted.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. If they're, you know, if they are creating a problem for you, you know, you contact someone else. Contact someone else to deal with it. You don't need to put up with that crap. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that,
no.
but that's how I feel.
I agree, CJ.
Volunteers do not need to put up with that. And
No, I
and
agree.
you also are
Totally
acting
agree.
on behalf of the city, and somebody from the city needs to deal with that because they have the oomph of the city behind them. You know, you're a volunteer, so you're very important to us, but you're not as important to perhaps the person at the clinic. They don't see it the same way as the city sees it. The city sees our volunteers as very valuable, and you shouldn't have to put up with that.
I agree. And if there are situations where there are problems like that, we need to
Right.
know about that. And again, Chris is in charge of the program, and he needs to be the central point of contact for that and let him work with them.
like,
If they are attacking
those
you, Chris
circumstances,
needs to be the one to deal with it. Somebody from the city
Exactly.
needs to be the one to say, hey, you will not disrespect our volunteers. But if the city, on the other hand, if the city doesn't know about these issues, we can't assist in the problem. We have to be aware of what's going on.
But
And somebody from the city does need to be responsible for it. And that would be
call
Chris.
Mickey because that's where I was directed to call from
Mhm.
Brooks. That's why I called Mayor Ball. I
Right.
was told specifically, you need to deal with Mayor Ball on this issue.
Right.
And I
And that's
followed
true
up
from
on-
their point of view. You know, I'm talking about creating a policy for communication going forward.
And I want to interject on what you were saying, Mickey, about taking up the spots. There's plenty of trappers that don't hesitate to bring in 10 cats a night. So I go at 8 or 9 o'clock and spend all night there to get a spot. We've had to go from 6 a.m. to 5 a.m. to 4 a.m. I'm all the way back to 8 o'clock at night to go in there just to get a spot, so I'm not bringing feral cats home.
Right.
So that's a lot. That's a lot on me.
No,
If
I
you're gonna
recognize that.
If you're going to
No, I-
restrict us to 3 cats, how many more days do I have to spend the night there to get this done? We don't go every single day with 6 cats. But if we have 6 cats, I'm going to take 6 cats because that's one less trip. I'm going to have to spend the night there and ruin my whole next day with lack of.
No, I understand that. And honestly, I appreciate what you're doing. I can tell you it's not for me. You're not going to find me down there doing that. And so that's part of that passion that I mentioned earlier. That's what's needed, and it's very much appreciated. What we need to do is figure out what is the number that we want to do? How often do we want to do that? I think that's part of that policy for communication, CJ.
Actually, it's not. This is solely a policy for communication between volunteers acting on behalf of the city and ACO.
Okay.
The discussion on how many animals would be a TNR discussion, and we didn't really
So,
put that
and
as
I
a
know that I know that I can't make a motion, but I would like to make a recommendation for our next regular meeting that we have that discussion a little bit more in depth. And that gives everyone a little bit of time to kind of formulate some ideas.
And
Here's
that will
here's
become
some-
part of the policy and procedure manual for the animal control department and the shelter.
Okay, and this is Janet, and I want you to please understand when you're taking the amount of cats into consideration that I'm not gonna go there 5 nights a week with 3 cats. If I
Oh,
have
heck
6
no.
cats, you know, I mean, I might as well not have any life. I mean, I don't mind doing it, but the more cats that we can bring at one time, the better. And if you want to get ahead of the February to June rush, so to speak, we're going to have to be allowed to bring as many cats as we can, and we can only bring 6 because it's 3 per trapper.
Right.
And that's only if Lori's not working the next day, then I can only bring 3.
Right.
But I don't think that we should be limited to 3 per visit, because that's taking a lot of your volunteers' time.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I'm going to defer to you guys because you know best how this works. I don't do that. So
And we're not kidding. There's trappers that will bring 10 cats.
yeah.
They'll bring 10 cats, and they will be the only ones having cats go in that day.
And the
Well-
other thing to remember is we have a limit of 50 per every quarter. So 50 for 3 months.
Right.
So
and
that's
then we
another
hit
thing
that
to remember.
That can be changed, but here's another option. I'm actively looking for a mobile vet that once we have our facility open, I want a mobile vet to come out and maybe spend a day doing nothing but spay neuters. Now I know that I can't remember the gal's name. Starts with a B. She's with Bear County. The vet with Bear County.
Emily Bastion.
That's the one. From what I
No,
understand,
she's not with Bear County anymore.
oh,
She
she's
has her
not.
she has her own private practice now, and she has her rescue hand-me-down hounds. But she still would probably be receptive to that.
Well, I understand she's very efficient in that department.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
that would be an option. If we can maybe work something out. I'm also engaging with Wellness on Wheels to see if we can start getting them to come back out here. They were not doing spay neuters before, but they have a spay neuter clinic. And so it's very close to where I work there at Zarzamora and North Military, Zarzamora, New Laredo Highway, Nogalitos, right there in that intersection. They have a new clinic that should be opening up here any moment. And so I've already kind of put my feelers out with him that we need his help. We'd like to help his business, and he's talking about a voucher program. So that's something we can talk about in the future, but just other
Yeah, let's put it
options.
down for the future.
Yes.
Okay, so for right now, I guess we need a motion. I'm not sure. A motion regarding the policy for communication between volunteers acting on behalf of the city and the ACO.
I'm gonna make a recommendation on this one, CJ.
Make a recommendation on the phrasing.
I will. So what I think we're looking for here is number one, an agreement that we need a policy for communication, and then who is the single or team that's gonna do that, and when would we expect to have that for consideration?
I'm sorry, what are you talking about? We're
I got
creating the
lost.
policy now. I wanted to create the policy now. That's why I phrased it the way I did on the agenda. That volunteers, we will make the policy that volunteers acting on behalf of the city, if there is a dilemma they are having, conflict, whatever, the point of contact is the ACO.
And if the conflict is happening at 6 o'clock in the morning, the ACO is not available, so.
And
it
you can
just
call me. I'm up. I'm here.
Only till November 3rd.
Only till November 3rd. Oh yeah, that's right.
And so that was kind of why I was thinking that we would be kind of expanding on that. Because if you just make a blanket statement, it's not really a policy. It's just a, here's a statement on how this will be done. If you want to do some additional expansion on scenarios, then maybe it takes a couple of people sitting down and coming up with some of that and bringing it back.
I would agree with that. This is Janet.
All right, I'll work on that for the next meeting.
And so
I just think it's important that when there's ever any issue with rescues or whatever, that the volunteer contact the city.
absolutely. I mean, that goes without saying, but it might be beneficial to have a written policy for everyone to reference and that everyone is clear on how that works. Charles, I'm going to defer to you on the action on this particular item because CJ mentioned something about taking this back. So I'll let you kind of guide that discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to put it in our policy and procedure manual, but I need something from this committee before I put it in the policy and procedure manual.
Okay. I'm a big believer in creating a document for discussion. Just opening up a subject like this is really nobody's coming forward with any ideas, and that's why I created documents on a couple of agenda items here.
Well, Janet and I are too passionate to have ideas on this because.
Well,
I'll create something and bring it to the next meeting.
well, I actually when and again my experience 15 years on the council of a Baptist church and a few years here on city council, we don't generate ordinances or resolutions at that council meeting. Somebody originates an idea, prepares a document, and that is sent to the council members beforehand so that we can read it and understand it and prepare to make that secondary motion to amend. And unless somebody else has further input on this, I would like to make a motion that we postpone action on this agenda item until a document is generated and we address it at the next scheduled meeting. And that leaves it to you, CJ.
Okay, so Charles has made a motion that we table this until the next regular meeting. And I certainly can create that document since that was my goal.
CJ, I hate to interrupt you, but the motion was to postpone it until the next meeting.
Okay.
And not to table it.
Okay,
So
let's. Mr. Fillinger has made a motion to postpone this until the next meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so. All right. Number 8, discuss and/or possible action on vaccination and microchip clinics. And Michelle, Penny Pause is coming when?
Saturday.
This Saturday?
The 6th, yes. The 19th, I believe.
So I'm gonna take the next question.
Do we have any, 19th, do we have any, can't think of the word.
Signs, banners.
Yeah,
Yes.
publication, yeah. Signs, banners, advertising materials, etc.
Yeah, they'll go up Wednesday.
They'll go up Wednesday.
The banners will go out at the streets by Wednesday. The ads should come out probably Wednesday, Thursday. They're usually behind on that. But the banners will be there by Wednesday.
Do we know what time Saturday? Is it 3 to 5
It'll
or
be 12 to 5.
12 to 5
12 to 5?
Yes.
in the city park?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we can give people a heads up. I've had a number of complaints from citizens who don't see the advertisement until the day of the event or the day before.
Well, I mean, I don't know how else we can advertise, but I mean, the banners are there at the street at the entrance of Mathis Road, and there's a banner on Priest Road, and they both have the address. I posted on Facebook. I posted on Nextdoor. I honestly don't know where else to post that.
Well,
Right, can we post it on Nextdoor and Facebook now?
that's what
Or
I was
tomorrow?
going to suggest. Sooner, yeah, the sooner we do it, the better.
Yeah, no, I did that last time, but then obviously it got canceled though because of the corona.
Right.
But yeah, I was doing that already. I was gonna post
Okay.
that up tonight.
Awesome. All
Yeah,
right.
just make sure that you, if you post it on like Nextdoor, I can grab it from there
Okay.
and put it on, or if you want to put it on one of the Facebook pages, do it there, however, and we'll get the message out.
Right,
Okay.
right. Okay.
And then I'll update it with the ad when it comes in.
Okay. Perfect. And then Healthy Pets was just here, and they probably won't be here again until October or the beginning of November. And we did have one challenge with them. They do not want the microchipping clinic or the Ben was doing nail trimming.
Yeah.
They do not want that done at the same time.
And I don't blame them one bit.
Yeah, in fact, they actually almost left last time.
Yeah, I remember that. They were pretty rude to Lynette too.
Yeah, it was a
I thought-
half and half there.
I thought
It
they were
was-
aware prior to, but
I discussed it in person with them, and I was told it was okay. Obviously, that was not with Dr. Bowman, though, and Dr. Bowman does not want that being done, and she was not aware. So
oh,
I think it's, again, it was communication error. I was speaking to the wrong person, apparently. And, but, so we're not going to do it. We're not in time anymore. Now, I don't know about Penny Paws. Is that a challenge with Penny Paws, or should we just have the microchip clinic totally separate?
totally separate. I don't think it's fair to these people to come in and lose money, lose potential income. So
I tend
think
to
totally
agree with
separate.
that.
I had spoke with Penny Paws and they were actually okay with it. So, I mean, if they're okay with it, might as well, because, you know, then people can get their shots and the microchip at the same time done. So if they approve of it, then I don't see why not. I mean, it's the convenience, you know. But I'll get back with her and I'll double check, triple check, and make sure that it's okay. And if it is, I'll let y'all know.
And let us know about the nail trimming also, just in case it
Yeah.
comes up. Microchipping
Yeah.
and nail trimming.
Yes.
Yeah, because if we get a lot of interest and a lot of people show up, but they don't have the staff to do everything that everyone expects to have done, then that doesn't help
Right.
Yeah.
either.
Right. So we would need verification of that, I think, so that we don't want to upset anyone.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so Michelle will check on that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Can I have one more input on this? This is Janet.
Yeah.
Me as a personal pet owner, my personal pets, I take them when and where I know they're good. I take them to Dr. Bowman, China Grove for major surgeries. I take them to Brooks for spay and neuter for low cost. I take them, I do the research and find out where it is going to be most economical, and whether it's getting a nail trim here for a lower price and then taking them a week later to get a microchip for a lower price. That's what I personally do as a pet owner, because they're very expensive.
Right,
So
and ours are only $10 for the microchipping.
I don't think
Yeah.
that it's fair for these Dr. Bowman's office or Penny Paws, whether they say, yeah, it's cool. Are y'all still there?
Yeah, I
Are
can
you
be.
still there?
We dropped the iPad.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
No, it's all right. Okay. There
Oh,
we
okay.
That's just my personal opinion. I wouldn't want to come in and see other people, if I'm coming in and doing a service for the city, I wouldn't want to see potential income going to the table next door. That's just my opinion on it. So.
And that was Dr. Bowman's
Yes, it
position as
was.
well. She was very, very passionate about that. We had a discussion, and I don't remember honestly which vet it was about doing that, but I do totally understand. I think in return, I think we should support them for those accessory items as part of their price point, because they're coming to us and we're not having to have animals go to them. So I do support that. If we want to do something separate that is, maybe we could do a deworming, anything but vaccination, anything but a rabies. Have them come in and somebody can do the microchipping and somebody can do the nail trims, and then we can administer the basics, the worming, just the basics, because a lot of people really, they want the animals, but they don't want to care for them. So if we can at least have them down the healthy trail, that might work as well, but we could certainly talk about that later.
I don't understand why you can't just do it one time. I mean, our community is poor. The convenience is there. If Penny Paws allow it, what's the big deal? More people will come in and get more shots. Yeah, they'll be coming and get nail trimmings, but the shots are more expensive than what the microchipping is and the nail trimming. I mean, these people, we're not all the same. A lot of these people, they can't go shopping here. They can't go shopping there. They can't take the dog here and take it there. No, a lot of them don't drive. So it's all there. Walk in the park and, the wham, bam, bam, they're going to get it all done. Yeah, no, let's not do it every single time Penny Paws comes, but, give them a chance at least, once, twice, every few months. I don't, like I said, if Penny Paws doesn't have a problem, I don't think, we should either. I mean, we're trying to help our community members first.
Well, we didn't think Dr. Bowman had a problem either, and it turned into a problem. I'm just
Well,
trying to avoid
that's-
any further issues like
That's what
that.
I'm saying. Let me
Perhaps
let
if,
them
yeah,
confirm it.
perhaps if Michelle talks to Penny Paws and can get a letter from them saying that, yes, this is quite all right, or an email saying, you know, yes, it's quite all right to have a microchip clinic or nail trims at the same time as the vaccination clinic, for the city to offer that, the microchip clinic, and a private individual to offer the nail trims at the same
Yeah.
time as the vaccination clinic, then
I
perhaps
did,
that would be okay.
because we had talked about it before having a pet event, and all that was supposed to happen, you know, including the nail trimming, including the microchipping, pet education and stuff like that, and they were down for that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm wondering, and I get the point about
Yeah.
doing it one-stop shopping. You know, I totally grasp. Well, if you can get that in an email, you know, something where a specific point person has noted that, yes, it is okay to do this, for the simple reason being, I had a verbal and I had nothing from Healthy Pets, and I had nothing to fall back on when they got all upset. So even if it's in an email and it's you know, an email
Yeah,
understanding, that would be
Yes.
okay, I would think.
I can do that.
Other discussions on it? Varying opinions?
I've already voiced mine.
Yeah. Maybe we need to take a vote on it.
Now, actually, the agenda item says, discuss
Oh,
and or
yes.
possible action. We're not taking any action, so we can move right on along.
Right. Okay. You're right. Okay. So number 9, discuss and or possible action on articles or reminders for the next newsletter.
I can help you out with that real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
We're not doing a newsletter, so we can move on.
We're not doing an e-newsletter?
Oh, e-newsletter. Ah, okay, that's different.
Yeah, I thought you had discussed that last time.
I would like to do that, but I've never received anything except from Chris, and we haven't done anything. So yeah, I'm certainly open to that, and I think it would be beneficial.
Okay. Mr. Fillinger, do you had your hand raised?
Yes, ma'am. This might be a good place to, Nextdoor has a public agency, and the Animal Control Advisory Committee could open an agency account there and blast the newsletter out via Nextdoor. I know there's a Sandy Oaks Humane Society. We could blast the on Facebook. We could blast the newsletter through there. I don't know how else we could generate an email list of people that care to receive an electronic newsletter, but you know, we might advertise that on the city website also.
And Charles, one thing that I've had a discussion with CJ about on that specifically is our web provider, do we have the ability to have like a subscription service? So whenever an e-newsletter is published on the website, they get a notification So that's something that I could work with CJ offline as just another means to make it accessible, to push it when it's available, but allow people to sign up to receive it if they choose.
Oh, okay, I'm, just
Actually, an
throwing out
interesting,
ideas.
Charles actually brought up an interesting idea when we were, the piece in mind regarding articles or reminders for the next newsletter was in regard to the city newsletter, but Charles brought up an interesting thing about the public agency on Nextdoor. If we did it that way, we could also perhaps push, if the advisory committee created its own newsletter, then perhaps we could push to more people about not just the ordinance, but written in layman's language. Your pet's supposed to be microchipped. Make sure you have these vaccinations for your pet. The basic parvo is big in our area. Whatever important little notes, perhaps that's a way to
I agree.
get them out
And
there.
Charles, I think between Charles and I, we can figure out how to add that agency list. I haven't done that in a while, Charles, but I know I have the link to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's fairly simple. They have an agency application, and you fill in the form and blast away. If you desire, I will I will set that up and
here's my thought, Charles. Rather than it be a separate agency, what I was thinking was it is the animal control department, Sandy Oaks.
That's what I was thinking too.
And those messengers are coming from that agency, if you will. It's still part of the city. Like, I have an agency account. I think you do. Catherine does. But we just add.
No, I do not have an agency account there, but
I can get you one.
Hey guys,
I think I just need to add you as.
I can.
I'm sorry guys, I have to interrupt. My iPad is gonna die because I broke the cord off it. When I pulled it off, it's gonna die, so we might lose y'all.
Okay. We'll watch and see if you drop off.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, Charles, I think it would be an awesome idea if you can investigate that further on setting up animal control department, so that we can blast out some more about the events and the needs of the whether we need volunteers, what are the upcoming health events that are being offered, or other events, pet events that are being offered, etc.
Well,
I think that's a wonderful idea.
On our the city parks committee, they have asked me to post on Nextdoor several times about park activities and such, and I have not done that from an agency account. I've strictly done it on my personal account. The advantage to the agency account is agencies are not allowed to block anybody, and I always, well, he blocked me, she blocked me,
Yeah.
and from an agency account, you can close the discussion, but you cannot block anybody from getting the information.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Let's work on that, Charles. Let's do that. Let's work on that.
Okay.
Okay, so I know.
We lost you.
Yeah, I now have a dilemma here. Charles, you can help with this. We still have 4 items on the agenda, and a couple of them were rather important. However, we have lost some of our members, so we only have Michelle and Julie still as regular voting members.
You cannot continue. If you don't have a quorum, you can't continue.
Yeah, we do not have a quorum. So even if no decision is made, if we're,
You cannot continue.
okay. All
No,
right.
we're gonna have to adjourn.
Okay.
I will need to get with Chris later then about some things. Okay. If that's the situation, then I guess we need to adjourn.
Well, good night, all.
Good night. It is 8:43. Good night, everybody.